Cousin falsely accused me of SA. Now my family is contacting me after almost 10 years. I grew up in what was probably the most normal of households. My parents worked a lot but still managed to care for me and my 3 older sisters. We were never super close as a family but never had any issues either. The same goes for my extended family. They always lived a few hours away. But we saw each other during summer holidays or Christmas and always got along great. However, when we got older, we naturally grew apart as everyone had their own lives. I'm 31 now. When I was 22 and attending university, I got a phone call from my mother that turned my life upside down. I remember I didn't even answer it at first because I was gaming with friends, but she called again immediately after the first call. This was an unwritten rule in the family: if you call twice like that, it's important, like someone died. So when she called again, I excused myself and answered, only to hear chaos on the other end, like people were arguing. When my mom realized I had answered, it sounded like she went to another room and closed the door. I asked what was going on, and I heard she was crying. My memory of this conversation is a bit blurry, but she basically asked me if I had something to confess regarding EE. Is my cousin on my mom's side and is 7 years younger than me, 15 at the time. At that point, I hadn't even seen E for several years. I just said no and asked what this was about. She just cried even harder and started accusing me of sexual assault, SA, on E back when we were children. She said that E had told everything to my sister, who then told my mother and my aunt. E had claimed that back when she was 9 and I was 16, she'd been playing in my room when I came in, started feeling her under her clothes, and kissed her. My mother screamed at me to say something, but I couldn't even speak. It was all so absurd. I remember thinking it must be some bad joke. The last thing I remember saying was that it wasn't true and that E was lying. But then my mom went on saying how E gave such a detailed description of where and how. She kept asking, "Did you do this? Did you do this?" And I just screamed back at her, "No," each time. It all ended with my mom putting me on speaker, and both my mom and dad saying that they didn't want anything to do with me and never to contact them again. 2 of my sisters texted me later that day, pretty much saying that I was disgusting, and then blocked me. I know it's weird, but after that call, I went to have a long shower. To this day, I still don't know why I did that. After calming down, I started calling and texting everyone, even E. No one answered, and the ones who hadn't blocked my number by then quickly did so. The only thing I heard back was from my father, who texted me to stop contacting them and that they needed to heal. That was 9 years ago, and I haven't spoken to anyone in my family since that day. To say this messed me up is an understatement. I was living in a haze for weeks after that and hardly ate at all. It didn't help that this was right before I was supposed to defend my bachelor's thesis and was already stressed out. Luckily, my co-writer noticed something was up and saved me by controlling the conversation so that I got the easy parts. Without him, I'm sure I would have failed. Needless to say, no one came to my graduation. Then started the worst period of my life. I spent the first year expecting the cops to knock on my door and arrest me for sexual abuse. I didn't land any jobs, just living off my saved money. I drank a lot and did other self-destructive things. I also grew resentful and violent. The only reason I didn't hurt anyone is because no one was around. My neighbor called the cops on me once after I had smashed a glass, but I managed to convince the officers that I had just dropped it. They went away since there were no others inside my apartment. Instead of sleeping, I spent my nights planning how I could hurt E and make sure no one ever found out, even thinking how I could actually do the things she'd accused me of, but much worse. I know, I'm not proud of that. I landed my first real job in my field in late 2015. Only then did things start to improve. I focused all my time on my job as it gave me something normal to do. Recovery was a slow process, but I drank less and smiled more. I lived cheap and earned good money, so I made a point of buying myself a nice gift for my birthdays: a VR headset, a motorcycle, Lego, etc. Last year, I moved from my crappy apartment and bought a small house. It was an old dream of mine to have my own garage and a garden to care for. This has boosted me even more, so my life is okay now. I still have problems. I've been on antidepressants for the last few years, and while they help, it's not in a happy way. They simply remove the dark thoughts and replace them with dead ones. My trust in other people is close to non-existent. I've tried dating but have only been on 2 dates with 2 different women. It's really hard to speak like a normal person when it comes down to it. And what would I tell a potential partner when she asks about my family? Oh, they accused me of a heinous crime and we're not talking anymore, but I didn't do it, I swear. My field is very male-dominated, so the only woman I really speak to is my therapist, who I like a lot. A few days ago, I received a text from my mother. It felt unreal, and I was scared to open it at first, so I just stared at the notification for hours before opening it. Yesterday, a second text followed, translated. They basically say, "Hi, my name. It's been so long since we talked. We miss you and want to know how you're doing." She writes a long text about my sisters and how my nieces and nephews are getting big. I didn't even know I was an uncle. Know that we love you and always will. Love, Mom and Dad. So yeah, that's my situation right now. I haven't answered, but they no doubt know I've seen it. Truth be told, I'm seething. So many old, shitty memories are now stirring again. I don't want to forgive them, and I wouldn't trust myself to be in the same room as them right now. Part of me wants to call my family and unleash everything on them, to guilt them with everything I went through until they all hit rock bottom. Then dedicate my life to making my cousin's life as miserable as possible. The other part wants to ignore them and continue with my okay's life, with my motorcycle and my garden to keep me company. I don't have any friends. The only people I speak to are my coworkers, but we're not really close. I called my therapist's clinic, but they told me she's on vacation and won't be available for weeks. I don't want anyone else but her, so that leaves internet strangers, so please, where do I go from here? Do I ignore them and continue as is, or do I answer, and if so, what do I even write? I'm pretty sure meeting them in person would be a bad idea for the foreseeable future, but I'm not even sure how my life can improve from picking up those old threads. As embarrassing as it may sound, I've dreamed about the day when they apologized to me. Them throwing themselves to the ground and kissing my feet. Texting seems so anticlimactic now. Part 2. It's been around 3 months since I last posted the previous part, and a decent amount has happened, some for the better, and some for the worse. For one, E is still a huge asshole. Around a week after my family sent me the messages, she also reached out with a huge apology text. When I received it, I couldn't believe my eyes. She was talking about how she had mental problems and has been dealing with them for ages, almost as an excuse for why she did this to me. She said she needed help and her parents were helping her get it. This seemed like BS to me because, all my life, I knew E as a beaming, radiant girl until that dreadful day in 2014. The whole text felt like she was just feeding excuses as to why it happened and then ending it off with the shortest actual apology. My original plan was to go on with my life and try to slowly make it better and better, but seeing this pushed me to my limit. I had to respond and tear into her with the foulest words I could think of. In the end, the actual text I ended up sending said, "You think your mental problems are bad? Try being torn away and excommunicated from your whole family for 10 years when you were just in the infant years of your adult life and see how bad those mental problems become. I am still trying to deal with all of this, and the last thing I need is the culprit of my misery feeding me excuses as to why it happened. My other relatives may have been in the dark the whole time, but you knew the entire time, and it never dawned on you to say things sooner. You're lucky I did not kill myself. At this point, my parents and siblings might be another story. But I will never be able to forgive you for the irreversible damage you have done to me and my relationships. Please rot in hell and never contact me again." Thank you very much for listening to the story so far. I suggest you to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss tomorrow's stories.